Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं गगनान्वितं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् श्रीविशाखान्वितं दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी ब्रजमानोऽस्ते देवी प्रणमामि। आशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम राधाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे ज्योतिवाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातं जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंदा जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंदा। All glories to Lord Chaitanya. All glories to Lord Caitanya. All glories to all the devotees. So we were on chapter 8 in of talks between Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu and Rāmānanda. And in the last class, we saw that how finally Chaitanya Mahāprabhu Rāya Rāmānanda. So they meet at the bank of river Godavari, and Rāmānanda Rāya was accompanied with many other people because he was in a royal order, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi. And people were very surprised to see how, with so much of affection and emotion, this meeting happened, and others were surprised that why this sannyasi, Ramana, who's a sannyasi, why is he behaving like this? See, Rāmānanda Rāya, who's really a materialistic person. So people could not understand that Rāmānanda Rāya, what is Rāmānanda Rāya's position and who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we just saw that they met and we completed till verse number 38. So we will begin today the same section, section 1, talks verse from 1 to 6, talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meeting Rāmānanda Rāya on the banks. Swabhavai tarite pamara It is the practice for all saint people to deliver the follow.
So they go to, although they have personal, this is very beautiful, which explains that why a devotee, and especially in this case, this verse is being given reference to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and a sannyasi, a devotee sannyasi. So why a sannyasi, when he has taken sannyas from his family, from the society, then why there is a need for him to go to house? Is he going there for begging? Is he become a beggar now because he is? So the answer given here is, why does he go there? He does not go to people's personal. Goes, of course. So we will see that in the next verse. So this is very important for us to understand that devotees, one, the devotees should not go and visit people for their own selfish interest. And we see that how sincere devotees, they visit others' house, the only purpose of enlightening them and inspiring the whole family, the parents and children, take up
This quote is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter number 8. For, my dear Lord, sometimes great saintly persons go to householders. Although these householders are generally low minded, when a saintly person visits their homes, they can understand that it is for no other purpose than to household. When any saintly person come to our home, what what is my attitude? How I have to receive? Because I'm a householder. So how do I receive if some saintly person, if a sannyasi visits my house? I must understand that he has not come there for asking me from something for me. Even if he has come and asking for donation, yet he has not come and I mean he has not come to ask me something, but he has come to give me. So he has come to give me Krishna's seva. He has come to engage me in Krishna's service. So sometimes like ISKCON devotees, they go door to door distributing books, or they go door to door for some fundraising, some collection. Janmashtami is coming, so Janmashtami fundraising is going on in full swing. And this year, like in Chennai, we'll be celebrating Janmashtami after 2 years of COVID. So everybody is stepping up, and we are all trying to gather more and more donation because more than a lakh people or almost a lakh people would visit there. This time it is 4 days celebration. So the whole point is that so many people are coming and we are asking for, I mean, people are asking for money. So why, if somebody is asking for a donation for Krishna conscious cause, it is basically to benefit householder. Because householder has some source of income. And when that income is utilized in Krishna service and certain portion is given as charity, then the whole income becomes. So this is what is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, and here in current context, Krishnadas Kaviraj's book. Amar Sanghe Brahmandi Sahasreka Jana Tomara Darshane Sabhadra Vibhutamana.
Along with me, there are about 1,000 men. And all of them appear to have had their hearts affected by sin. So, of course, as Srimati was explaining, that the sannyasi or devotee comes to engage us in, because a normal, if you look at a normal family person's life, he's so much involved in job and with earning money, maintaining the family, that he does not really have much time for projects. So when uh, devotees approach such families or people, they inspire them to take up Krishna consciousness. And here, that Rāmānanda is saying that there are so many Sahasreka, there are so many people, including Brahmanas. These 1,000 people, they saw one person, and just by seeing you, and of course the ecstasy with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rāmānanda experienced and seeing each other, they embraced each other. So seeing that, their hearts melted. hearts have melted, which means the hearts have become soft-hearted to ready to receive Krishna to begin the practice. So just by having darshan of the Lord, they have progressed so much in
Krishna Krishna Nama Shuni Savadavadane Savaranga Pola Gita Shrunayane. I hear everyone chanting the everyone's body is filled with ecstasy and there are tears in everyone's eyes. So just by darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is the potency of the Supreme Lord. He's just presence. And everybody was saying Krishna, 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 Krishna. And they were all so thrilled and they were feeling Akritye prakritye tomar Ishwar lakshana Jivina svabhave aprakrita guna.
My dear sir, according to your behavior, bodily features, not the supreme personality of Godhead. So just from this particular verse, you need to understand that Rāmānanda is not an very great scholar. And based on the description of the Supreme Lord in the scriptures, from that and his personality and the qualities of the Lord, Rāmānanda can experience that your behavior and body features they match the description. And therefore you are the Supreme Personality of God. Not like these days, a person will declare himself to be God and foolish people will accept him as God. So it is not the foolishness. It is, one does not become God by popular. So here we have a we will see in this particular conversation going through that how well educated, a great scholar like Rāya Rāmānanda, he's saying something, it actually he's revealing the even na sambhave a aprakrit gun. It is impossible for ordinary living to possess.
प्रभु कहे तुमी महाभागवत ब्रह्मा तुम्हारा दर्शन साबाद्रवल्लमना. The Lord replied to Rāmānanda. So Rāmānanda was praising the Lord and Lord replied to Rāmānanda, Sir, you are the best of the top-notch devotees. Therefore, simply the sight of you has melted everyone's heart. So it's not me, it is Rāmānanda. अंधेरा की कथा आमी मायावादी सन्यासी आमी हा तुम्हारा स्पर्श कृष्ण प्रेम भासी.
Although I am a Mayavadi sannyasi, a non-devotee, I am also in the ocean of love simply by touching you. And Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu is referring to, his sannyas. He accepts his sannyas from a Mayavadi sannyasi, and that was one reason. So he had big danda, and that is one reason why when Nityananda Prabhu, we heard this past time where Nityananda Prabhu broke that eight danda into three. That three danda sannyasi, Vaishnava sannyasi. So although I am a Mayavadi sannyasi, not everybody, but just by coming in touch with you, who are great devotee, right? Great devotee. So just by coming in touch with such a great devotee, I am floating in an ocean of love. What to speak of? Simply by your touch. Jani katin mora hridaya shodhite sarvabhauma kahilena tomare milite.
Sir Mama Bhattacharya knew this would happen, and thus to rectify my heart, he asked me to. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very genuinely appreciating Rāmānanda Rai, and he is also expressing his gratitude to Sarva Mama Bhattacharya that Sarva Mama Bhattacharya knows what is good for me, and that is why he has sent me here and see how I am feeling just by seeing a pure devotee like you.
And these are the sweet ways how the Lord glorifies His. In this way, each of them praised the qualities of the other, and both of them were pleased to see each other. So they were very delighted to have each other's darshan and to have met each other. Vaishnava Brahmana Dandavatapari Kaila Prabhure Mandrana.
At this time, a Brahman Vaishnava following the Vedic principles came and offered obeisances. He fell flat before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and invited him for lunch. So this conversation was going on. And in the meanwhile, a devotee Brahmana came and he invited Mahaprabhu for lunch.
So, Srila Prabhupada mentions here in the purport that one should be careful if we get an invitation to go to somebody's house for lunch or dinner or whatever, we should be very careful in terms of what their eating habits are. And Prabhupada was mentioning that yes, at least the Vedika Brahman, we assume that they will be following the Vaishnava, Vedic rules and regulations. They will be following. They will have very clean eating habits. They will not be eating meat or onion, garlic, and all. So that was what was expected of the Brahmanas. But that is not so these days. So unless he is a devotee, we should be very, very careful before we even accept such an invitation. Nimantrana Tandre Vaishnava Janiya Rāmānanda Kare Prabhu Ishata Hasiya.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the invitation knowing the Brahmana to be a devotee, and slightly smiling he spoke as follows to Rāmānanda Rai. So because he knew he's a devotee, that's why he accepted. Tomar mukti Krishna katha shunite vaimana punarapi payena tomar darshana.
I wish to hear from you about Lord Krishna. Indeed, my mind is inclined to desire this. Therefore, I wish to see you again. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here, he is making this request to Rāya Rāmānanda that I am very eager. My mind is, we remember when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Rāya Rāmānanda, it is mentioned there that the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ran to meet Rāya Rāmānanda. But although he tolerated that and he was sitting in this one place. So here again it's mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressing it openly that my mind is inclined to desire this what? To hear about Krishna from you. So if we happen to meet a wonderful devotee of the Lord, this is what we should aspire or desire for, to hear about Krishna from such a devotee. Not just to ask, because sometimes what happens is we meet some senior devotee, we ask for blessings, and we many times ask for some mundane blessings. You know, my
Child's marriage.
We are not able to have a child. Please bless us so that we can have a child. Or my daughter is not getting married. Or the son is not getting good marks in school. So all those are not the reasons for which we seek blessings from the devotees of the Lord. When we meet devotees, we must inquire about Krishna. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching us. This is what we can learn from this particular interaction.
Rāya Rāya Pamara Shodhite Darshan Matra Shuddha Nahe Mora Dushta Chitte. Rāmānanda Rai replied, My Lord, although you have come to correct me, a fallen soul, my mind has not yet purified simply by seeing you. So he's telling, basically, actually, both of them, they wanted to stay in each other's company. but the circumstances were so that they were surrounded by so many people, so they were not very comfortable. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the previous verse said that I want to spend more time with you, I want to see you again. And here Rāmānanda Rāya is saying, my mind is not yet purified simply by seeing you, so I want more time.
So this should be our attitude. One, to hear about Krishna, and second, if we live in the association of these wonderful exalted Vaishnavas, then our mind also will become purified by hearing from them, by observing them, by seeing their behavior. So all that will purify our existence. Dīna pancha satara hikara majana Tave Shuddhaya Mora Dushtamana. Please stay for 5 or 7 days and kindly cleanse my polluted mind. After that much time, my mind will certainly be pure. So these are all very, very important points that I'm sure some of you at least are making note of this.
And some of them are making notes for everybody else.
Yeah, we are very grateful.
Yadyapi vicheda doha sahanaya tatapi danvata kari chari Rāmānanda. Although neither could tolerate separation from each other, Rāmānanda Rāya nonetheless offered his obeisances to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and departed. So they departed. Prabhu yai se vipra ghar biksha kaila duri jana rut kanta yasi sandhya haila.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu then went to the house of the Brahmana who had invited him and took his lunch there. When the evening of that day arrived, both Rāmānanda Rāya and the Lord were eager to meet each other again. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about Krishna. Rāya Rāmānanda wanted to purify his existence, purify his chitta, purify his mind. So they were all very eager to meet
Krishna.
Everybody wanted to meet Krishna.
Prabhu Snana Kritya Kari Rachana Vasiya Ekavritya Sanghe Rāya Lila Asiya. After finishing his evening bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down and waited for Rāmānanda Rāya to come. Then Rāmānanda Rāya, accompanied by one servant, came to meet him. So this time he has come just with one servant, and this is their personal meeting. So he has come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So just now when Sukiti said, Rāya Ram is so eager to meet Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna. So that is so true. The devotee wants to meet the Lord and the Lord wants to meet his devotee. There is one incident from Mahabharat war. After the war was over and Yudhishthira Maharaj was established as the king, the undisputed emperor of the world. So one day morning, Yudhishthira Maharaj came to see Lord Krishna. And he came in and he saw Lord Krishna was sitting in a very meditative mood and posture. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj asked him a question, but there was no response from the Lord. So that was very strange for Yudhishthira Maharaj. And then Lord opened his eyes and he said that Bhishma Dev, because the war was over, but Bhishma Dev was still alive and he was lying on the bed of arrows. So Lord said that Bhishma Dev is only thinking of me. And Lord said, I am only thinking of him. So this is the wonderful relationship of the devotee and the Lord. So here, Rāya Ram is very eager to meet the Lord. Lord is very eager to meet Rāya Ram.
Namaskar Kaila Prabhu Kaila Lingane Dui Jane Krishna Katha Kaya Rahasnane. Rāmānanda Rāya approached Lord Sri Chaitanya and offered his respectful obeisances, and the Lord embraced him. Then they began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. So now, finally, the scene is set, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rāmānanda Rāya are there discussing Krishna Katha, and this is how it starts.
So there is this word used, Rahasthane. which means they went to a secluded space. So why is it that to discuss Krishna Katha, Rāya, Rāmānanda and Chaitanya Mahāprabhu went to a secluded place? Secluded place means where there are other common people were not there. So the reason which Srila Prabhupada explains is that the Vrindavan pastimes of the Lord, especially the pastimes of the gopis with Krishna, should not be discussed in public. Why? Because general public, general people, they are not devotionally inclined. They have so many anarthas in their heart. They have so many material desires in their heart. And when they hear these wonderful, amazing, spiritual, transcendental pastimes of gopis with the Supreme Lord, they tend to misunderstand them as a common loving affair between a boy and a girl. So may they make that mistake, and therefore the confidential pastimes of Vrindavan should not be discussed in public. So what should be discussed in public? We should do the Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names, the Kirtan, and we should involve it. And that's why we see that that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing. When he was traveling and when he was meeting anyone, all he was doing Sankirtan, chanting the holy names, inspiring others to chant the holy names. What else we can do in public? We can discuss Bhagavad Gita. So we can discuss philosophy, we can discuss Srimad Bhagavatam also, except those confidential portions of Bhagavatam. And we see here another example when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also, Lord discussed philosophy. He did not discuss the confidential pastimes of gopis with Krishna. He did not do that with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as well. Now, yes.
So getting into the next section, so now this conversation is beginning, and we will see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu this time, like in when we read Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is answering and Arjuna is asking questions. So Arjuna is a devotee and he is asking questions, and Krishna is answering, giving all the right answers. Now here, there is a role reversal. Now we will see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will ask questions and he will make sure that Rāmānanda gives the right answer. So he gives all the right answers, and yet it is very beautiful and interesting section. So let's see. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would ask in this particular section, his first question is about the highest perfection of human life.
Sometimes when a teacher has a very well qualified student, so he will showcase, he will ask so many questions that the student will give all the right answers and both will be glorified. The student will be glorified and the teacher will be glorified. So here we have a devotee who will be glorified by the questions of the Lord.
Prabhu kahe pada shloka sadhira nirnaya Rāya kahe swadharmacha rina vishnu bhakti raya.
Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Rāmānanda Rai recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. So this is very just look at this. What is the Lord saying? Pada shloka sadhyara nirnaya. Just don't tell me your opinion. You quote a verse from the scriptures. You quote a verse from the revealed scriptures which will tell the ultimate goal of life. So it is not just your opinion and my opinion and anybody's
your
opinion.
goal and my goal.
Your goal and my goal. What do the scriptures say? What should be the ultimate goal of life? Because scriptures are perfect.
Varnashramacha Purushena Paramapuman
Vishnu Rāyadhyate Pantha Nānyat Tattosha Karanam.
Now be very careful and alert in this section. It's a very interesting philosophical discussion, and yet it is like very, very intriguing. So if we are with the conversation, if we understand, it's all a conversation. So don't think, okay, one verse I will hear from somewhere randomly and I'll understand everything. It's a conversation, it's a sequence. So be alert.
It is building one on the top of it.
Yeah, it will build up as you will see. So now the question is asked, what is the highest perfection? And here, according to this verse, now everything Rāmānanda Rai will quote from the scriptures only. And according to this verse, the ultimate thing is Varnashram. So it says the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Note it. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must be situated in the institution of the four Varnas and Ashramas. So now these four Varnas and four Ashramas, four Varnas are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and four Ashrams are Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So here he has quoted a verse which says that one can attain the perfection in life just by following the Varnashramic duty.
So this is actually worth for those people who are otherwise would live an animalistic life. You know, if you do not follow Varnashram rules, then one just follows their own instincts and their own mind's demands. So at least they should be governed by the rules of Varna and Ashram, so they at least come to the civilized level.
Prabhu kahe ho maya adhikara, Rāya kahe Krishna karma arpan sarva satya sara. So what happens? Prabhu kahe, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he heard this shloka, what is Mahaprabhu's reaction? Evo bahya. Bahya means external. So if you remember Adi Lila, in the beginning we discussed that there are some internal reason of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance and some external reason. So external reason is for masses. So it is not that this is incorrect or wrong, but this is not the real substance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, oh, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means. Rāmānanda replied, to offer the result of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection. So here in the shloka, if you see, he is using the term Krishna karma arpan. Whatever activity I do, whatever result is there, I offer it to Krishna. That is the highest perfection. So Lord is telling that Varnashram Dharma is not so relevant because in Kali Yuga, now all of us, we may be very unsure which Varna and which Ashram do I belong. Is my ashram or is my varna governed by what type of job am I doing?
Family?
Or in what type of family I am born? Like how do I establish that? So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejects that. Varnashram dharma actually is formed, or what Varnashram duty is actually referring to the three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. So if we remember in Bhagavad Gita, we discussed that if I am in completely goodness, then I am Brahman. If a combination of goodness and passion, then Kshatriya. Passion and ignorance, then Vaishya. And complete ignorance, then Shudra. So actually, Varnashram is a combination of the three modes. And modes are the modes of material nature. So it is material nature, so it is not transcendental. So if it is not transcendental, how can it give us a result which is transcendental? So Mahaprabhu is saying that is external. Eho bahya. So that is why, so next, so it's just like a game of cards, or like chess. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu moved one thing and he said, this is Bahaya. So Rāmānanda is giving another explanation. Okay, Krishna Karma Arpan is the topmost. And for everything, he will quote a verse. So now here is a verse from Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure majority of you would remember that because it's a memory verse. Yat-karoshi yat-ashnasi yat-juhoshi tadasya yat-tapasyasi kaunteya tat-kurushva madarpanam.
Rāmānanda Rai continued, my dear son of Kunti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, and whatever austerities you may perform, all the results of such activities should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So first, Varnashram system was mentioned. Why? Because this system is established by the Lord for the management of the civilization, or management of human society. But beyond that is that if a person becomes inclined towards the Supreme Lord and he wants to recognize the Supreme Lord, so what Lord says, okay, do your duties good, but then whatever you do it for me. Whatever you eat, you offer it to me. Whatever you do in sacrifice, you give it to me. Whatever charity you do, you can do that for me. So like that Krishna is saying, so all the results of such activities, which means that if we do these 5 activities, I may get a result which I want to enjoy, Krishna is saying, you don't enjoy, you just give it to me. So what happens is, this is the beginning of disentanglement from the material life, because everybody in the material world is looking for some profit, is looking for some sense enjoyment. I will do this, I will get, and then I can enjoy. Right? So Krishna is saying, cut that enjoying tendency, do, and the result you give it to me. Madharpana. So the result you give it to me. So that is what Krishna is saying. What is the Lord's reaction to that?
Prabhu kahe,
Eho Prabhu
kahe, ho bhaya, ditara, Rāya kahe, swadharma tyaga, sadhya sara. So imagine Bhagavad Gita 9.27. When we were discussing that, we were saying that this is such an important verse. It comes in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita. It comes in the 9th chapter. It is very, very important verse. What is Chaitanya Mahāprabhu saying? Ego, Bahya. This is also external. Now, why is this so external? Because in the previous verse, if you have noticed the verse, so Krishna is saying, whatever you do, whatever charity you do, whatever austerity you do, whatever sacrifice you do. So he's not saying that the act should be for me. He's saying that the result you give me. Whom I'm acting for. So I may act for my pleasure. I may do a lot of things to expand my business, and then whatever money is coming, some portion I'm giving to Krishna, I'm living 9.27. But whether I'm living my life for Krishna, whether all my activities are governed for Krishna, that is not said there. So that is why Mahaprabhu is saying that ego, bahya, this is also external. Speak something more. So Rāmānanda replied, now next thing what he's bringing is swadharma tyag. So first he said varnashram, second he said Krishna karmarpan, third he's saying swadharma tyag. So he's saying to give up one's occupational duties in the varnashram system is the essence of perfection. In the first verse he quoted the verse that doing varnashram duties is perfection. Here he will quote the verse giving a varnashram duties, occupational duties in varnashram is the perfection. Abhyayaivam gunan doshan maya dishtanapi svakan dharman santyajya sarvan mam bhatit saja sattamaha.
Rāmānanda Rāya continued, occupational duties are described in the religious scriptures. If one analyzes them, he can carefully understand their qualities and faults, and then give them up completely to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person is considered a first-class man. So we understand that occupational duties, the duties of Varnashram and the Varna, whether it is a Kshatriya or a Brahmana or a Vaishya or a Shudra, or the duties of the ashram, whether it is a Garahastha ashram or a Brahmacharya ashram, all those duties are actually duties within the mode, as you were explaining. So here, each of those qualities, each of those Varna and Ashrama may have their qualities and would of course have some faults in it. Like the Kshatriyas have been given the responsibility to manage this affair of the state. So violence is included, and violence will have its own problems with it, or they have to conduct some sacrifices. So there are so many qualities and faults which may be there in the performance of those duties. So that's why Rāmānanda said, okay, the next level is when you give those varnashramic duties all together. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayami ma shujaha.
As stated in scripture, Bhagavad Gita 18.66. So now he is quoting the, what do we call this? Charam Shloka of Bhagavad Gita. The most conclusive verse from Bhagavad Gita. That is what he is quoting. So this we would study in 18th chapter, the last chapter, and towards the end, the 66th verse. What he is saying? After giving up all kinds of religious and occupational duties, if you come to me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and take shelter, I will give you protection from all of life's sinful reactions. Do not worry. So now here he is quoting another verse that to attain perfection, one has to renounce one's occupational duty. And as I was saying, this is Charam Shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Very often you would find these speakers from ISKCON quoting this verse, Sarva Dharman Parityagya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vrajat. Take the shelter of Krishna's feet. This is the verse from Bhagavad Gita. This is the verse from Bhagavad Gita. Let's see what Mahaprabhu says, what Mahaprabhu replies to this verse. Prabhu kahe eho bahya agi kahara Rāya kahe jnana mishra bhakti sadhya sara. After hearing Rāmānanda Rāya speak in this way, Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu again rejected his statement and said, go ahead, say something more. Eho bahya, this is external, leave it. Aage kahara, say something more. Now Rāmānanda Rāya started thinking, what is happening? Sarva Dharman Parityagya, itself Mahaprabhu has done Parityagya of that verse. So what does it mean? So we may think that why is it so? Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about that verse as this is not the best verse? So please understand, Mahaprabhu is not saying that these verses are like of no use. He is saying, Aage kaha ara, you can build up more. There is something more beyond this. Again, this is not the ultimate thing. So Mahaprabhu's question, what did he question? What is the ultimate goal? So Mahaprabhu is telling, yes, this is okay. This verse is okay. Here at least a person is making some general surrender to Krishna. But it is not the best yet. So there is something beyond this also. Say more. And now Rāmānanda Rāya is quoting Gyan Mishra Bhakti or devotional service mixed with empiric knowledge. So empirical knowledge is like the knowledge which is not deductive in nature, but which we experiment and we can observe and conclude. So he's telling devotional service mixed with empiric knowledge, and he's quoting this verse for that. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kamshati Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madhbhaktim Labhate Param.
Rāmānanda Rāya continued, according to the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So this verse refers to Karma Mishra Bhakta, Gyan Mishra Bhakta, sorry, the previous verse, Rāmānanda is saying Gyan Mishra Bhakta, which means this person is performing some devotional service, but he has an impersonal conception. His desire is for liberation. He's not really interested in service of the Lord. He's more interested in liberation from the material world. And what is he doing? He becomes situated in the spiritual platform. He becomes joyful. He never laments. So, na shochati na kamshati. Neither he has any lamentation, neither he has any complaints, nor does he have any desire for anything. He does not kamsha. He does not have any desire for anything in the material world. Samah sarveshu. He is equal towards all living entities. And then there is a chance that he takes up pure devotional service. So, Gyan Mishra Bhakta is being referred to by Rāya Rāmānanda. And let's see what Chaitanya Mahāprabhu has to say about this.
Prabhu kahe ho bahya
Aage kahara Rāya kahe jnana shunya bhakti sadhya sara.
After hearing this, the Lord, as usual, rejected it, considering it to be external devotional service. Again, Mahaprabhu is saying Eho Bahya. So what you are talking about, Gyan Mishra Bhakti. So their bhakti is there, but this bhakti is mixed with Gyan. And what is this Gyan? This Gyan is empiric knowledge. So it is not absolute knowledge what this person has. So Mahaprabhu is saying this is also external and there is something beyond this. There is some real substance beyond this. So he again asked Rāmānanda Rāya, Aage kahara, aur batao, aage bolo, next what? So Rāmānanda Rāya replied, your devotional service without any touch of speculative knowledge is the essence of perfection. So he's saying, Gyan Shunya Bhakti.
From Mishra it became Shunya.
From Gyan Mishra Bhakti, it's becoming Gyan Shunya Bhakti, where there is no Gyan, Gyan Yog Wala Gyan is not there. There is no mental speculation involved. So that Bhakti is the best.
And no desire for liberation, because usually young Mr. Bhaktas also desire liberation.
So far we have done this. This is the synopsis, one over the other Mahaprabhus, making Rāmānanda Rai to come up with the jewels one after the other. So he has started with the beginning, Swadharmacharina, executing prescribed duty as per Varna and Ashram. So first he said, Varnashram duties, performing Varnashram duty is the topmost. And when Mahaprabhu said, Ego Bahya, the next one was, Krishna Karma Arpanam. Whatever activities I do, I offer it to Krishna. Mahaprabhu said, Ego Bahya. And next is, Swadharma Tyag, renouncing one's occupational duties. Give up your occupational duties. Sarva Dharman Parityagya. And what was Mahaprabhu's reply? Arkahara. So the next one he presented was Jnana Mishra Bhakti. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that devotional service, but there is this tinge, this mixture of mental speculation. That is not good enough. Give me something more.
Pure ghee.
Give me pure ghee. There is some contamination. So finally he is giving this Gyan Shunya Bhakti, devotional service. Sorry, that mixed word should not be there. Devotional service without speculative.
Mixed without. I said mixed without is
redundant.
Unmixed or without speculative knowledge.
So let's see. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Prabhu kahe ho haya adhikara Rāya kahe prema bhakti sarva sadhya sara. So at this point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Eho. What is that word? Eho?
Hi.
Eho haya. So till this time, everything was
Bhaya.
Now this is haya. Yehi hai. Okay, correct. So this is the thing. This is all right. And then what he says, but still you can speak more on the subject. So this is very nice. This is very nice that you have come to pure devotional service, which is without any mixture, where there is no karma kand, no varnashram, no jnana yoga. It is free from that, which is pure bhakti. Now what more can you tell? So Rāmānanda Rāya is saying, prema bhakti, sarva sadhya sar, ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all perfection.
Rāmānanda Rāya continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. So thirst and hunger has to remain for us to relish and feel happiness when we drink or eat something. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. So this is such a beautiful verse. This is from MadhyaLila8. If you want, take a screenshot. So this you can experience in your own lives. We can experience in our own lives. When we want to serve the Lord out of pure love, without any other desire, only when I want to just do everything and anything for the satisfaction of the Lord, then what happens? Whatever I do, whether it is simple cleaning work, or it is some cooking work, or any activity if I do, that gives me happiness and that gives me bliss. So that is very important. Like hunger and thirst, increase, makes us relish what we eat and what we drink. Similarly, if I worship the Lord with pure love, just that Lord's satisfaction and happiness is all that I am asking for, then any activity that I do will give me immense bliss and happiness.
Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So this is in continuation to the previous verse. This is again from MadhyaLila8, verse number 14. So here it is talking about how do we get that? How do we get that pure devotional service in complete Krishna consciousness? So we need to have one thing for that. We need to have intense greed. I want Krishna Prem. I will not compromise with Varnashram. I will not be satisfied with Karma Arpan. I will not be okay with just like Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. No, unless and until I get pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness, I will not be satisfied. So, when the devotee comes to that devotional service, so initially we follow a lot of rules and regulations, and then gradually it becomes spontaneous. Like many of you are chanting with us every day morning 6 to 8 a.m. And now I'm sure that those of you who have been chanting, like we started in November and now we are in what, July. So who have been chanting all these months, it would have become such a spontaneous thing for you to get up in the morning and turn the screen on and start chanting. So spontaneously that comes because we become so attached to it. Why? Because we are doing it out of pure love for Krishna. Prabhu kahe ho haya adhikara, Rāya kahe dasya prema sarva sadhu sara.
Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, this is all right. But if you know more, please tell me. So there the two previous verses. If we do not have spontaneous love for Krishna, that's all right. Follow the rules and regulations, then we will generate and we develop spontaneous love for Krishna. Spontaneous love for Krishna means the people, devotees who have intense greed for serving the Lord, for developing, for doing devotional service to the Lord. They have so much of intense greed for that. So Lord says, well, that is all right. That is very good. Now, please tell me more. So what is next? Dasya Prema. That is spontaneous loving service in servitude. As a servant, as exchange by master and servant is the highest perfection. So here Lila Rāmānanda is saying that the Sarva Sadhisar is what? Dasya Prema, which means in this case, a Dasya Prem devotee, he says, Lord is my master. And he has a respect for his master. He may have some little fear for his master. And he, out of his great reverence for the Supreme Lord, this devotee renders service to him as a menial servant. So this example, we see a great example of Hanumanji, who offered this service of Dasya Prem service to Lord Ram. Yannam shruti matrena puman bhavati nirmalaha tasya tirtha padakim va dasanam avashishyate.
A man becomes purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet create the holy places of pilgrimage. Therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become his servants? So here Krishna is, Rāmānanda Rāya is quoting this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which was actually spoken by Durvasa Muni. And this praise is glorifying the servants of the Supreme Lord. That what to talk of somebody who has actually become the servant of the Supreme Lord, what opulences and what advantages and what purification such a person would be experiencing.
So this is also a very interesting example actually, which is being, the verse being quoted here, is that Durvasa Muni, he was actually a caste Brahmana, he was a great yogi, and he somehow hated Maharaj Amrish, and he decided to chastise and to punish Maharaj Amrish through his yogi powers. But actually, Durvasa Muni got punished in return. So here this is mentioned that so this verse is being spoken by Durvasa Muni in glorification of Amrish Maharaj. Why? Because Amrish Maharaj did not do anything. The weapon, the personal weapon of the Lord Sudarshan Chakra came and it chased he chased the Durvasa Muni all over the universe and up to the spiritual world. So here we understand that how the devotees of the Lord naturally own the opulences of the Lord. Whatever the opulences of the Lord are there, they come under the control of his devotees. So here the glorification is of the Dasya devotees of the Lord. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? So this verse is being quoted from Yamunacharya. And what is Yamunacharya saying here? By serving you constantly, what happens? My heart becomes free from material desires and I do not have any hankering. I become peaceful. My mind becomes peaceful and I am pacified. So this is the prayer of Yamunacharya saying that when do I become your permanent eternal servant? Because in the material world, what happens is we do service of the Lord for some time and then we become engaged in something else. And then we remind ourselves and then we engage in some service of Krishna and then we become engaged in service of Maya. So here Yamunacharya is saying, when do I become a permanent eternal servant of you who is the most perfect master?
Prabhu kahe ho haya kichu agara Rāya kahe sakya prema sarva sadhya sara. Hearing this from Rāmānanda Rāya, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. Kichu aage yaar, aur batao thoda, kuch aur batao. In reply, Rāmānanda Rāya said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. So previous verse, he was talking about dasyaras or serving the Supreme Lord as a servant. Now he is saying, but better than servant is serving the Supreme Lord as his friend or equal.
So in the master servant relationship, as was being discussed earlier, sometimes there is some amount of fear. The servant is always, has some fear of the master, despite having a very intimate relationship with him. And there is always lot of respect. But in Sankhya Prema, there is no fear. And there is no respect also. Because Sankhya Prema means the devotee feels that Lord is equal to me or I am equal to the Supreme Lord.
So this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 12th chapter, which says, Neither those engaged in the self-realization of appreciating the Brahma effulgence of the Lord, which means those who are an impersonalist, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Lord as master, which means dasyaras, nor those under the clutches of Maya thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand the certain exalted personalities after accumulating volumes of pious activities are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. If you see this picture, it's a very cute picture where Krishna is sitting with all his friends and seemingly they are playing a game where Krishna has his eyes closed and mouth open and they are putting one and the other item in Krishna's mouth and he's supposed to taste and tell what they are feeding him. So that is happening. And then there is another friend at the corner who's sitting and who's relishing this rasgulla himself. So you see all of them, like they are at equal level. So there is no awe and reverence. Though they know that Krishna is Supreme Lord, but they don't know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. They think that he is our dear friend. So here in this verse it is quoted that devotees who are, people or transcendentalists who are engaged in approaching the Supreme Lord, they can still not approach the way these boys who have become the friends of Krishna, so don't know what all they would have done to attain that wonderful, glorious situation. Prabhu kahe eho uttam aage kaha Rāya kahe vatsalya prema sarva sadhya sara.
The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Rāmānanda Rāya then replied, loving service to the Lord is in the parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. So we saw that from the Dasyaras it came to Sakyaras. Sakyaras means equal. And what happens is when one feels that one is equal to the Lord, but his affection increases more and increases more and increases more and more, he becomes more and more affectionate to the Lord. And then what happens is he treats the Lord as lesser than him. So here the parents, Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mai. So what happens is they treat the child, Krishna, as completely dependent on them. and then they have to take care of him. And then if they don't take care, anything may happen to the child, and the child is, Krishna is completely dependent on us. And so that's how they feel that, they are in a superior position compared to that of the Lord. So this is Vatsalya Prem, and so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here says that Sakhya Ras Eho Uttam is very good. But explain something more. So Rāya Rāmānanda is talking about Vatsalya Prem, and I think this is from where we continue.
5 more minutes, we'll complete this section, and then just 5 more minutes. Nanda kim akarot brahman Shreya evam mahodayam Yashoda mahabhaga Papau yasya sanam harihi. Rāmānanda Rāya continued, O Brahman, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform, by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suck her breasts? So can we understand this amazing relationship? So we were discussing Dasya Ras few slides back, where the devotee would be scared of Supreme Lord. And here, Vatsalya Ras, where we will see how Supreme Lord is scared of the devotees. So because they have become their parents. So Nanda and Yashoda, what all pious activities they would have done. So here it's like they are exhibiting their wonder or amazement that what they would have done for Yashoda and Nanda to become or take the position of the parents.
The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. So, there is so much of wonder actually. There is so much of wonder that how these devotees, Nanda and Yashoda, how they have achieved this position.
Ultimate position.
That Lord has playing in their courtyard. He's dependent on them. He's drinking milk from Mother Yashoda. Whereas this Supreme Lord, He's the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. He's the bestower of the liberation. And even the great personalities like Brahma and Shiva and even Lakshmi Devi, she always resides on the chest of the Lord, and she is also not able to receive such a favor as the favor received by Mother Yashoda. So there is so much of wonder being expressed here.
Prabhu kahe eho uttam adhikara Rāya kare kanta prema sarva sadhya sara. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after the other. But surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. So finally, the topmost layer has come where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, now tell the best, the actual best. Rāmānanda Rāya then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna, Kanta Prem. Conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position in love of Godhead.
When Lord Shri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Ras Lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of the lotus flower. And what to speak of the worldly women, who may be very, very beautiful according to the material estimation. So what is mentioned here? The beautiful women of the earthly plane of this material Bhuloka. Okay, better than them are the Apsaras or the heavenly damsels whose bodily luster and aroma resembles like that of the lotus flower. What to talk about heavenly ladies? The goddess of fortune or the queens of Vaikuntanath. Even they have not received the favor which the gopis have received. And what is that favor? That they are dancing with the Lord in Ras Lila, and Lord has put around His arms around their necks. So this is the kind of intimacy which Lord has with the gopis, and that is why it's been considered as the highest of all rasas. Tasam avirbhuchaurihi samayamanamukambujaha Pitambaradhara swasragivi sakshan manmatamanmataha.
Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. So here again there is a description of Krishna as how he was feeling due to, the gopis were feeling separation from Krishna and Krishna was also feeling the same thing, and then he suddenly appears there. So all these beautiful verses are from the 10th canto, which describes the position of Krishna and different devotees. So we started with Dasya Rasya, then Sakhya Rasya, then Vatsalya Ras, and the topmost is the conjugal rasa, which we are discussing. So this is the synopsis of the highest perfection of human life, which Rāmānanda Rāya was speaking and Krishna Das Kaviraj narrated. So beginning with Prema Bhakti, so first he said that Prema Bhakti or devotional service in accordance with regulative principles, with faith when people perform, that is the best. And from there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started appreciating him and he said, yes, so which type of devotional service is the best? So then first he said the Dasya Prem or serving as master and servant. Second, he said Sakhya Prem or loving Krishna as a friend or equals. Third, he said Vatsalya Prem or loving Krishna in parental relationship. And the topmost, he said Ganta Prem or conjugal love for Krishna.
So we see in this that if you look at the first verse, so one, when we do not have a spontaneous love, we follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. When we develop spontaneous love, then we can move forward. And if you see Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Kanta, all of these words are followed by Prema. All these devotees have love of God. So all of them have achieved perfection. All of these are perfect states. So anybody who has achieved Dasya, they're completely satisfied in serving the Supreme Lord as a menial servant. They do not have any desire to become Sakha of the Lord or of the parent of the Lord or even a lover of the Lord. So they do not have any such desire. So that way all of them, each of the devotees situated in any of these four rasas, they are completely satisfied in their love of God and their service to the Supreme Lord. However, there are differences and different qualities which can be observed in Dasya, some more qualities in Sakhya, some more qualities in Vatsalya, and even more qualities in the conjugal love of Krishna. And that is why these differences have been presented in the scriptures and by the acharyas. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is bringing forth.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Chaitanya Charitamrta ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj ki jai, Rāya Rāmānanda ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, for revealing all of this to us.
Hare Hare.